Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me once again. I have to say, I am just pumped about what I am talking about today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Evelyn Knight. I am the host of the Childcare Business Coach podcast, which I just got done recording one of the best episodes and the best interviews I've ever done. So I cannot wait to bring this to you guys. I seriously cannot wait. So let me know that you're here today. Say hello in the comments. I'm just really pumped today about what we're bringing to you. I actually just recorded an interview with Tony Child, who is our keynote speaker at the Childcare Business. I'm sorry, I'm like so excited. I'm losing my train of thought. The Childcare Business Summit, and which my company, Childcare Business Professionals, is putting on. My biggest goal right now is to really help level up the early childhood education community, because for the last year I've been telling you guys that our time in the limelight of ECE, our 15 minutes of fame, wouldn't last forever. This government money we see, all of the love we're being shown, wasn't going to last. And I've been really leaning into trying to prepare us mentally for this. Well, that time has come. And we are now facing a future of uncertainty. We're heading into um, a very big recession. And I think the best way I've heard it explained so far was that imagine a trampoline, right? And trampolines have to bounce up and down, right? Well, the federal government in the last couple of years, last 2 years or so, have not done the things they should have done in order to help regulate the economy, like higher interest rates and things like that. And they've done it because things have been really hard. As we see, if you're listening to this in the future or watching this in the future, today's August 10th, 2022, which, by the way, you guys, this is pre-recorded. I just had to do this after getting off with Tony. I'm so pumped, so excited. I want this fresh in my mind. It was so important to me to get this out to you while it's fresh. But I will be in the comments participating. So if you guys want to chat with me, go ahead and chat. But gas prices are astronomically high. The cost of milk, inflation, everything has just gone out of control. Rent, housing. In my area, we see a huge amount of homeless right now because it's just really hard to live. It's really hard right now, which means it's hard to be a business owner, right? Well, the way I heard this explained was basically, we haven't seen anything yet. And what the federal government has basically been doing right now is, imagine a trampoline and you're pulling the spring down and you're sitting there ready for jumping, and normally you're bouncing up and down, and that portion that you bounce on, like the platform part, it's constantly going like this. Well, in this economy, imagine just pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling that trampoline down, and you just keep pulling it down and pulling it down and pulling it down. What happens when you finally let it go? It explodes, right? Well, that's what we are facing. And right now, the government has been just pulling and pulling and pulling that trampoline down, and it's just been let go. And so now the recession we're heading for is supposed to be much worse than what we saw in 2008. They're estimating about 5 years at this point, of what we'll be looking at as rough times. So I've been saying this is coming, right? I really keep my ear to the ground. I listen to very high level business leaders. I try and stay in the room with high level people so that I'm ready for things like this. And so, as scary as it sounds, you don't have to be scared. And this is the reason I put the Childcare Business Summit together. It's the reason I put my mastermind together. It's the reason I've trademarked, and I'm in the process of trademarking, the phrase ECE revolution. It's because I know in our industry, this old way of thinking isn't serving us, right? So Tony Child, our keynote speaker for the Childcare Business Summit, many of you guys don't know who he is. But in the business world, in like my world that I keep my brain in, where it comes to like being a business coach, being a really high level leader of a childcare center, he's a rock star, right? For the like people who like me, who are really trying to up level who they are. he is a rock star. So I want to expose you out there to people like Tony, who are these just rock stars of mindset and business success. And I cannot wait to release the podcast episode that I just recorded with him. I'm just beyond excited about it. As I'm so excited about it that I actually completely rearranged my podcast schedule. I re-record my or I pre-record my podcast a couple weeks in advance, and I actually had next week's already done, but I'm completely rearranged my podcasting calendar so that you guys get Tony's podcast on Wednesday. It is amazing, and I'm so glad that we filmed it, because I'm also going to use the video footage from the filming the podcast episode with him, and we're going to use it for dual purpose. And I will release that video once my team gets to get it ready for watching it and everything. But he really reminded me of some very important things about being successful. And he starts out by talking about how success is really about mindset. And it served as a huge reminder to me. Lately, I've been looking around at a lot of people that I once admired, and I do still admire them. And I look at like some of the people that I've followed. And in my life, I've always like followed this person. And then when it was time to level up, I would find the next person. And my thing is, like, when I get my own business coach, I try to follow somebody who is just above me that I can grow to become like, right? And then once I'm there, then I need to find someone right above that, and then above that, and then above that. So I can keep emulating and emulating and growing and growing and growing. And we were talking about how success works like that, and how being in the room with people, the people who you choose to allow in your room, is really what determines where you are in life. The noise that you're allowing into your head, your mindset, is the key to success. It is the key, right? Because when you understand, and you guys have to listen to this podcast episode, because he frames it so beautifully. And even though I'm just getting done recording with him, I still don't think I can do justice to what he said. But he frames so beautifully the psychology of how mindset is that springing board, right? That keeps you going. But one of the things Tony talks about is, how do you define success, right? And so I want you guys to really think about, what does success mean to you? One of the things that I've really been noticing around me lately, and part of the reason this is so impactful for me right now, is I think a lot about my husband and where he was in his life when he died, where we were. And I think about a lot of the people. This isn't just him, it's so many people I work with, some of my own employees. I think about where we started our lives together, Ron and I, and what our hopes and our dreams were, right? And towards the end of his life, where we were the day he died, had he known that when we first started dating 29 years before he died, where he would end up, he would have been blown away. He probably wouldn't have believed you. If I went and found a time shuttle and went back in time and told him, hey, this is me 30 years from now, guess what you and I have done? Guess we've got 2 children. We own this amazing house. We've got this, we've got that. If I had told him what it would be in our bank accounts, that we would own a beautiful preschool, that I would have this second business and a podcast and all the things, right? He, first of all, probably wouldn't have believed me. He was like, yeah, no way, that isn't in the cards for me, because he had a really rough childhood. So he had very strong limiting beliefs. But secondly, if I could have convinced him that it was true, he would have been elated. What we accomplished was beyond his wildest dreams, right? He would have been thrilled and elated, and he would have thought, now that is success. I was a success. I did it. So the 20-year-old version of my husband would have seen, even the 30-year-old version of my husband would have seen where he was at the end of his life as a huge, huge success. But the 48-year-old version of my husband did not, right? And I recently talked to somebody who is dear to me, and she kind of had the same story where she just was really disappointed in herself. And I just said, whoa, wait a second. Back up a little bit. Look at where you were 10 years ago. The person you are today, that person who you were 10 years ago, the 10-year version of you, right? However old she was then. What would she say to the person you are today? How proud would she be? If you could get a time capsule and fast forward her and just see 24 hours in the life of you today, how proud would she be? And she had to stop and think about that, right? And just had to really think like, oh my gosh, you're right. I would be so proud. So my question to her was, well, then when is enough enough? Why is it that you look at where you are today and you see success as something that you still haven't achieved? You still don't feel like you're there. You look at your 10-year version of you, right? Who you were 10 years ago, and ask yourself, what would she think? What would he think of that person? And many of you would think they would be blown away. They wouldn't believe where I am today, right? But you don't define yourself as successful. You still have shame. You're not satisfied with life. That is the biggest portion. So I want to ask you, when is enough enough? If the 10-year ago version of you, if the 5-year ago version of you would be incredibly proud of the you today, then why aren't you proud of you? Why isn't that part of you as worthy? Right? How do you define success? Because to be honest with you, for most of you, success is unachievable because you're defining it by looking at someone else's life, right? And in your mind, you think, well, if I just get here, if I just get to this, I will be successful. So you get there. If I just buy my own house, I will be successful. If I just get that dream job, and you define that dream job, right? You define your dream job. If you're a director, if I just get to be a director of a childcare center, I'll find success. If I just get to own a childcare center, I will find success. So then you get there, and it's not what you thought. Suddenly you realize, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, right? You suddenly realize that being a director or an owner isn't the picture you painted. So now you don't see yourself as successful. You suddenly realize that buying that house, being a homeowner, which was once so important to you, isn't what you thought it was. So now your definition of success changes. And now you no longer see yourself successful. You accomplished what you set out to do. You accomplished what just a couple of years ago you defined as success. But now, here's your bar. You were here, you're here. And now you're not satisfied. So you raise the bar again, and you raise the bar again, and you raise the bar again. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time, right? The problem is the lack of satisfaction and understanding that you are a success. If you chose to stay where you are, is that really successful? Did you achieve that goal? And if the answer is no, that's okay. That is okay to level up and always want to level up. But give yourself credit for the success that you did achieve and redefine what your definition of success is. I'm not going to get too much into this because Tony does a beautiful job of explaining what success really should look like. But I want to really dive more into your perception, right? And into how hard we are on ourselves and the people I work with all the time. And there's another portion that he speaks to so beautifully in the podcast episode that you guys have got to listen to. But I just want to really challenge you to ask yourself, that version of you from the past, So many of you guys are carrying shame and guilt, and you have these huge boulders on your back that you're walking through life with. And you have this form of almost self-loathing, this disappointment in yourself. But you're there. But you are the person today that you wanted to be 5 years ago. Why isn't it enough? Why isn't it enough? Why aren't you enough? Why do you perceive yourself as not enough? And I can imagine I probably triggered a few of you. That was probably a huge trigger. A couple of you, I might have brought tears to your eyes just now. I really want you to lean into that. I want you to take some time right now. Get some paper out. Do what you need to do. You are important. You need to prioritize you sometimes too. I don't care what is going on. Give yourself some time today. If you want to be a better leader, if you want to be a better mother, a better father, a better wife, a better daughter, better son, whatever it is, give yourself some time to ask yourself, why am I not enough? And then I want you to basically next ask yourself, why don't I see that I am enough? That I don't need all of this? That I have leaned into a person I want to be. So why is it never enough? Why is where I'm at today not enough when I once in my life dreamt of this day? Have you celebrated where you are? I know it's hard, especially if you're a childcare center owner. It's so hard. And you dream of getting there and you get there. And then the first year goes by and you realize that owning the center was not what you thought it would be, right? I can't even tell you guys. There's been times as an owner myself where now I can just laugh, right? The funny stories now were just like falling asleep at night at my childcare center, waking up later and realizing like, oh my gosh, I was so exhausted. I fell asleep here. What happened? And you got the mop bucket out still and you're mopping and whatever, and you're just exhausted and you look around and just think to yourself, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Even in that moment, you're still a success because you still accomplished what you set out to do. Just because it didn't turn out to be what you thought it was going to be does not minimize what you have done, what you have accomplished. You still got there. And now if you want to raise the bar, that's okay. Just understand and know that you're still a success. You didn't give up. You don't fail until you quit. People talk all the time about like just that ability to fail and bounce back, right? For me, I always define it as I don't fail until the day I quit. Have I had a lot of missed steps? Have I failed in steps along the way? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've lost many chapters in my life, right? And I've failed at many things. But I also don't ever allow myself to call them failures because I realize and I recognize the fact that I never gave up. And bottom line is, you succeed until you give up. So lean into that today. Give yourself some time. You deserve it. The people that rely on you deserve it. Celebrate the accomplishments that you have had in your life. Because as we are so used to beating ourselves up and not really celebrating where we are, look at where you are today. And even if you feel like everything is crumbling around you, and you guys, I'm there a lot. I lost my husband last year. My entire life that I thought I was going to live, my entire future has crumbled around me. And I've had to spend the last year of my life literally, it's almost like this braid that I've had to unravel in order to heal and really just picking my entire life apart to see where I'm going, right? So I know what it feels like. I've almost faced bankruptcy twice. I have a neurological disease, you guys. I have faced so much. I've had an eviction notice on my childcare center's door. I have failed a lot in my life, but I never let that take me down. And I still celebrate who I am today. And I celebrate the fact that I have succeeded because I overcame all of that. And I'm still standing here today. Am I where I want to be? No. I still have a lot of goals and a lot of things I need to fulfill. I still have a lot of growing I need to do. But I know that I have succeeded. I know that I am not a failure and I have succeeded. And I am happy with what I have. Start loving what you have instead of wanting what you don't have. Start appreciating where you are in life, the things you have accomplished. Start wanting what you already have, right? Instead of always wanting what you don't have. In our culture, in our society, we get so caught up in what we don't have. We look to everybody else on what they do have, and we get so absorbed into that we forget to look at the beauty all around us and what we do have. So I challenge you today to really lean into that. Love what you have. Lean into who you are, what you've become. And if you can't, then start doing some soul searching on why. Get some help, you guys. I cannot even begin to tell you how much therapy can level you up as a human. And I have some amazing people I can refer to you to that can really, really help you out to help get out of those areas in your mind that you're stuck, right? Because there are things in life that will cause you to self-sabotage if you don't fix them, that you will not get to that level of happiness and success because of your past and the way you subconsciously self-sabotage. So I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments, message me. I'm sure I struck some chords today because this is a pretty big emotional deal. But this again is why I'm bringing people like Tony to the Childcare Business Summit, because I want you to start breaking free of these chains. We're not going to level up as an industry if we don't break free of these chains as an industry. It is time, you guys, for us to wake up. It is time for the ECU revolution. It is time for us to step into the greatness that we deserve, to become the professionals that we deserve to be. We want the world to see us as professionals, but we don't want to act like it. It's time for us to become what we so want. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, join us. I cannot stress to you how important this is. You've got to be at the summit. I know it will change your life. The people I chose purposely because I want them to change your life. I want to completely disrupt your mind so that when you go home, you will not be the same person ever again. Ever again. You will level up. You will be able to step into that person that you've always dreamt of being. There is nothing special about me. There's nothing really special about Tony. The difference between us, if you look at somebody like me and you admire, right, and you wish you could be me, it's really just how I think. That's it. And it's the work I've done on myself to get here. And that is what I'm bringing to you at the Childcare Business Summit. That is what I'm bringing you. So I cannot wait to see you guys. Let me know in the comments if you're coming. I can't wait to meet everybody. I'm really just excited. I mean, Tony talks about frequencies and being in the room with people at this level of vibration. And you got to listen to the podcast. It's amazing. The exam, I don't want to ruin it. I just want to tell you guys all about it because I'm so pumped from it. But the things he says are just mind blowing. So you have to listen to this episode. If you never listen to my podcast, this is the one episode you've got to tune into. So I hope everybody has a wonderful week. I hope you take care of yourself today, throughout this week. Figure out why it's not enough, why you feel like you're not enough, and change that narrative in your mind. Actively start changing that today and know that you are enough. You are. On my mirror, I have written on every mirror I look into is you don't have to pretend. And what I mean by that is I don't have to be anybody but me. Doesn't matter what anyone thinks or who they are or anything. As long as I authentically step into me, that's all that matters because I am enough. And by God's grace, one of my favorite songs right now is the song Gyra. If you guys haven't heard it, Elevation Worship. One of the lines on the song that really resonated with me was I am enough because he is enough. Or you, it actually says you are enough, but he is enough, right? Because the areas that I am lacking, I don't need to fill those gaps because God does it for me, right? So lean into that as well. We don't have to be everything. You are enough just the way you are. God will fill those gaps for you. You don't have to be everything for everybody. That was one of my biggest curses that am learning, I should say, to break free of is it's okay not to be everything. And it's okay with being happy with who you are and what you have. So I hope that was helpful, you guys. I really, really hope I struck a nerve with you because if I did, that means you need to lean into this message. That means you may need to listen to this again and really absorb it. If I struck a nerve, that means there's something you need to work on. So get to work this week and into the future. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody.